So many weirdos on the internet. Yep. Okay, last thing. We have to talk about this. Okay, let me pull up the browser here. I want to get your points of view on this. This is some news that hit today, and it's about a grandmother was shocked by $1,400 worth of transactions, video game transactions on her credit card that won't be refunded. In a tale as old as time, she gave her credit card to her grandson, and he hooked it up to his PlayStation and bought $1,400 in microtransactions. By the way they phrase it, it sounds like Fortnite, like buying skins and credits. And grandma thought, quote, she thought the most he could spend was $15, but over the course of 3 days, he ranked up $1,400 in charges. $1,400. And so she's trying to dispute the charges, and PlayStation just said no. And then, yeah, one of the most sus quotes here. I spoke to my grandson and he didn't realize what he had done. He thought everything was free when he said he was downloading these things. Bruh, free? You needed grandma's credit card so you can get free stuff in your game? Uh-huh. Yeah, come on, man. Come on. Oh, fall down the hip-hop CD rabbit hole. Not come back is free. Give me a break. Yeah, so I mean, based on that, I'll put the link in the chat and you guys can read the whole thing. A confirmation pops up every time. Yeah. So like who's at fault here? And I think there's a couple of ways of looking at it. I've sent this link to a bunch of people, and most people jumped on the kid. And the kid knew, like presumably the kid knew that he was paying real money for those items. And the kid's probably lying to his grandma about, not knowing that he spent that much. On the other hand, it's not his credit card. And at 13 years old, you're not allowed to have a credit card because kids don't understand the consequence, like the value of money and what it means to spend that, especially in a digital environment where like you just hit the button and you get the stuff, and like why I could just keep hitting the button and keep getting rewarded with all the stuff that you otherwise wouldn't get. And they don't necessarily have the maturity to understand what it means when you buy 1,000,000 V-Bucks or whatever it is in the game. But yes, a lot of people are saying, kid's fault because he shouldn't have done that, took advantage of his grandma, he knew what he was doing, so on and so forth. There's grandma's fault, and I think that I ran into a lot of blowback when I said this is grandma's fault, and I get it. Grandma probably doesn't know anything about video games, and I think the fact where she says like I didn't think it'd spend more than $15, like there's nothing in the gaming space that's like $15 anymore. But ultimately, I think regardless of, and some would say like, oh, parental controls and all that, but like one, she's not the parent, it's the grandma. And two, like, I don't know how to activate the parental controls on any of the consoles I have. And I play these things every day. I'm sure there are tons of parents that don't even know that parental controls exist, let alone like poor old grandmas just trying to help. I get that. But I'm also on the side of, as soon as you trust your credit card in someone else, regardless who it is, and bad stuff happens, you're the one holding the bag. That's on you. Let's catch up on the chat before I talk about the next party here. Stay there while the kid makes one purchase, make sure the card isn't saved, and take it back. I agree. I think it's poor communication on both ends. Probably. Grandma can tell her credit card it was fraudulent charges, but she will have to press charges. Is It's called prepaid credit cards. There's that too. But grandma knows about money and she's the adult. Yeah. Gin and Soda says grandma shouldn't have put a kid behind the driver's wheel. If the kid crashes, it's the kid's fault, but it's grandma's fault for putting the kid in the driver's seat unsupervised initially. Also, the kid's being a little because he went driving unsupervised knowing it wasn't all Gucci doing that. You right. Okay, so I lean towards grandma for the same reasons of like, you know, that's her card and she put a kid in control of something he shouldn't have had control of. The other one, and one of my friends was this is Sony's fault. And where that comes in is the notion that, you know, these cases happen all the time of kids abusing their parents or their grandparents' credit cards, racking up insane totals in very short periods of time. And, you know, sometimes they'll refund that stuff. And in this particular case, Sony said when she contacted PlayStation, she was told they were legitimate charges that could not be refunded. And I mean, I think in some cases they will, in others they won't. I don't know why in this particular case they wouldn't versus, you know, in another case where maybe they would. And I think on their end, they're going to say like, well, we can't tell that on our end. The credit card is a legit number and these purchases were made. And if you don't want that to happen, you should put the parental controls that we have on our consoles. Now, is it the game's fault for having, you know, exploitative mechanics and these microtransactions and the kids want? Like, there's that side of it too. Oh, and the card isn't his name, like PlayStation's garbage at refunds. This is true. He's getting late here. Getting late. Gotta run. Take care, man. Grandma probably butchered her pitch in the credit card company. That's also her fault. I think there's a lot of people left. I think you can lay blame at, you know, the feet of everybody here. I think, yeah, the grandson obviously took advantage of his grandma for blindly trusting her grandson. PlayStation for, I think there should be a better mechanism for refunds, especially in scenarios like this. I think the games to a certain extent too, like they put that stuff in there. No, like loot boxes in particular in games that kids or teenagers play feel particularly gross. IMO. Grandma probably butchered her pitch. Yep, I read that part. Don't understand how much kids can spend quickly if they have the means. Absolutely. And I think like even as adults, you know, it's the credit card. I mean, maybe we're a little more accustomed to it now because so much of what we do is buy online and you don't have the physical money in your hands, that everything is digital and, you know, you just hit the button and then stuff shows up at your house. But for kids in particular who don't have bank accounts or don't really manage that, and they just see like, well, when I don't have the credit card hooked up, I hit this button and it says, nope, you can't do it. But when it is in there, I can just hit the button and it just keeps giving me stuff. Like, yeah, this is great. And you don't think about how much money that's actually costing you, especially when it's not your money, right? Remember Bart Simpson and Santos El Helper? Yep. The problem is the in-game currency is used right away, and if the item is used, the game will forfeit the right to get a refund. Yep. Yes, Jet, you're going to say the same thing. Just last week, I should have approximately X amount in your account. Let's check. And the amount was not what you thought. Not even, yeah, I hear you on that too. Because, yeah, again, you just, especially now, like I haven't taken out money from my account in months because you just don't have it. So it's all just make-believe. I don't know. It's numbers in a computer somewhere, and it can be easy to lose track of what that is. And it's, yeah, I mean, there's just so many levels of like being separated from the actual money, especially if you're a kid and you've never like had money, that all you see is, I'm getting these skins for my character. I'm getting the loot boxes. I'm unlocking these guns or what have you. It's the Matrix. Yeah, you prefer the Sushi Ghost game Matrix? Yeah. You just collect the bamboo and the supplies, and then you get a sick outfit. The system is set up that way. Absolutely. It's absolutely predatory. One of the things, like, I don't think, and this is one of the things that trips me, loot boxes don't have to be predatory. If, like, there are ways of doing it that don't completely suck. Like, if it was free, if you're just spending in-game currency and you're spending time, but like pretty much everybody uses them in an exploitive manner. The idea that in Overwatch I can give Blizzard money and in exchange they give me, you know, nothing really. It's a digital thing, and my odds of getting something actually good are low. There's a chance of getting duplicates. Like, what are we even doing talking about duplicates in a digital game? Like, you can weed that out. Ugh. Some companies fix that so you do not get the duplicates. Yeah, but some don't. The biggest ones don't. Oh my goodness. I guess there's two other things too. The FIFA controversy, where apparently someone on the inside of EA was selling the top tier cards for FIFA Ultimate Team in the black market, and they're offering like $2,000 per card. $2,000 for nothing. And you know what? If you play those games, that's not necessarily a bad deal, because I saw someone crunch the numbers of, like, if you were grinding out FIFA, right? If you're grinding out FIFA and you wanted to get that for free, if you wanted to get every card for free, right? You would have to play the game for 88,000 hours. Right? At that point, like, it's gonna literally take you like 6 years to unlock everything in that game. And then, like, by then we're 6 versions of FIFA ahead. Like, it's like literally impossible to do that. So you're looking at, oh, like 2 Gs versus, you know, 6 years. Like, you know, maybe I'd do this 2 Gs. It's crazy. It's crazy.